In my last video, I talked a lot about embolization, but I didn't really explain what I'd learnt about it and what the procedure actually was. They'll take a microscopic rod and put it through my groin. They'll travel up the arteries all the way to my chest and find the infected areas, the two blood vessels. What they then do is this little rod they put up your and up to your chest, they've got these little microgel beads in them, and the idea is once they pump it out of this little thing, it goes inside the artery, expands and blocks it up. It reminds me of that builder's foam, you know, it's lethal if you get it in your mouth, your eyes or your ears. And what that does is it temporarily blocks the arteries. Then what happens is when they go into your chest to do this, they can't actually see reliably what connects to your brain and what connects to your spine. So if any of them little particles go into that by accident, it can potentially go down one of the tubes, which I can't remember the fancy name for, can't be asked. It can potentially go into one of the fancy tubes that connects to your spine. If it partially blocks it, you can have all kinds of complications where you can't really walk properly for a bit, or your legs are weakened permanently. But then there's also a risk that you block it fully and you're paralysed from, I assume, the waist down. It's the same with strokes and stuff like that, because it's right near here, either that side or that side, my mind's blown, I can't even think, but because it's so clear near to my arm, these tend to be attached to key nerves and functions for around your brain and such. So that's where the bigger risk of stroke comes in for me personally, because it's near to there and it might end up having to go through my arm if they can't get them anyway, and that is a massive risk. So they've got to quote me the highest percentage of the odds because of where it is. The operation lasts for around 2 to 3 hours from what I've been told, and I'd be awake during the process. Don't get me wrong, all that stuff, not bothered. Absolutely not bothered. I could watch it. I actually quite like watching medical procedures. I've watched a few of them on me now and they're proper interesting. A really important point for me is it's temporary. It's not a guarantee. It's not a fix. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do something funky here. I've written down for, unsure and against, and I'm going to go through a bit of my logic with you and we'll see where my mind's at. So coming back to the fact that it's not permanent, and I've been given a figure of 6 to 12 months is what it usually blocks it up for. These arteries that I've got are big, but when I've worked it out, my bleeds can go from being a year apart to 4 months, to 3 months, to 6 months. They're so inconsistent that putting a figure of 12 months on it, 6 to 12 months, doesn't really make it that appealing for me, because as far as I'm concerned, my body naturally does that anyway, if that makes sense. So what's the point in going through a risky operation to do something that's happening at the moment anyway? That's defo a point against it. On top of that, he gave me some figures, and these figures have been readjusted. A lot of people who've come forward and talked to me have had embolizations in the past, but they've had to rejig the figures to show the true percentages of the risk, because they are risky procedures. So I was given a 1 in 10% chance of a stroke. Could be minor, could be major, could recover, might not recover. And that is a big risk. Whichever way you weigh it up, you've got to be prepared to take that risk. It's all well and good getting out of the operation and not having it, but then if I fall into that 10%, I've done that to myself. So the decision has to be sure. Just based on that point alone, that goes against it as well. Because how do you go from standing here being absolutely fine? Because how do you go from standing here feeling absolutely fine to potentially having a stroke and not recovering and not being able to move certain parts of your body for years? Also, a similar thing for paralysis. That's 1 in 500, which is better odds, but it doesn't really matter, because you could be that one person who falls under the 1 in 500. And if you think about it, roulette, right? I play a lot of roulette. I'm not addicted or anything, but I play a lot of roulette. and numbers 1 to 36, right, I put a bet on. And every now and then I get it. So it's probably a shit example, but another thing, when I was discussing it, we said that if these two big blood vessels are blocked up, then more blood vessels may form because these are blocked up. So basically what the thing's happened is, and this is what I need more information on before I make any decision really, is the mass that I've got in my chest is an affected part of my lung, and it's believed that these two vessels have had more blood forced through them because my body's trying to heal. You close both of them off, the body's still going to try and get that blood to that area, so it's going to open up more. At this point, it feels like patching up a boat with loads of holes in it, and someone keeps fucking shooting it. Realistically, is there any guarantee that I can gain anything out of put myself through this? There's no guarantee. The operation is only 2 hours. I'll be awake. That's a fall, that, because I'm not bothered about that. That doesn't interest me in the slightest. I don't care how painful it is. I don't care whether it takes me a long time to recover after it if I'm recovering normally within the set parameters. The main concern, and this is very rare, and it was described to me in a way that does put a bit of a for attitude on it. If it was in isolation, I didn't have to think about the other things, I would do it. But once one of these vessels goes, it just goes. It's not what I've been doing, it's not a mouthful of blood, 2 or 3 mouthfuls of blood, it's literally pouring. And there's no warning for it, it can just happen. And once it starts, you basically just hemorrhage blood. And the percentage, the big chance is that you die when it happens. Unless you can get in the theatre immediately for some sort of miracle, you're dead. They have stressed that is the worst case scenario, and it is very rare. And when people hear that, they go, shit, Chris, you should just do it. But I'm damned if I do, damned if I don't really, aren't I? Because if I don't do it and I bleed to death, it's, oh my God, I should have done it. If I do it and I get the side effects, why have I done that to myself? Can't really win. Part of my lung could die. I don't know why, but that doesn't scare me that much. I have no idea why it doesn't. So I had the opportunity to get this done today, Wednesday, but I decided against it because I need a full story and I need a full picture. I've also got this mass, which a lot of the experts are discussing, and I should hear about that tomorrow. So before I make any decision whatsoever, in the slightest, I need to have a full picture, because what I'll do is, once I make that decision, I'll stick with it, but I just need to be informed, and I need to make the choice that I agree with. I suppose the question I keep asking myself, and it sounds a bit arrogant, but it's just the way I've lived my life, it's would I rather have loads of things taken off me and out of me and suffer and potentially die, or would I like to live how I live now, how I've chosen to live my life, and then risk if it all goes wrong? And if it all goes wrong, I've had 37 banging years and I've always been in control. No right or wrong answer. And the thing is, I'm able to talk about it now without getting too bothered about it, because I've kind of had enough now. I just want to make a decision either way. I'm either all in or I'm all out until I'm forced to do this. If I came in hospital and my lung was hanging out of my ass, dripping air, blood out of my mouth everywhere, I would do it straight away, obviously, but I'm not in that position. So just in case I didn't make it clear enough, which I might not have because I'm all over the place, but this mass in my lung, I need to find out what's going on with that, because if these two vessels are working hard to fight that, and something drastic needs doing with that, then that's more of an indicator that this should be done. But if there's no conclusive evidence, then it's even more of a leave it alone, leave everything alone in my mind. So we'll see. I just wanted to say as well, the support that I've had from friends and family and everyone on Facebook where I posted this and on YouTube has been amazing, so thank you very much, I really do appreciate it. Right, I'm going back and fall out now, piss off.